What a great way to kick off the NFL playoffs here on Wild Card Weekend. The Colts just dominate in Houston, and the Cowboys get a big win at home, and their defense stood very tall. We will talk about both of these games, and we will start with the early one, the 4 o'clocker. You had the Monday Night Football broadcast. Really, that was garbage. I hate it. It doesn't even feel like real football when they're out there. The game just feels so much bigger when you have guys like Aikman and Joe Buck on the call, when you have Collingsworth on the call. To hear the Monday Night Football broadcast killed it for me, but it didn't kill it for the Colts as they went out there and just dominated a football game. I said about 13 weeks into the season, there's something about this Houston Texans team that is different. Because every year they have this good team, but never good enough. I said, yeah, I feel a different vibe. Deshaun Watson's coming back from the injuries. He's spicing this team up. They finally got a good quarterback. Their defense is strong. I was wrong. They just got embarrassed at home. I mean, the Colts go up early. They take the big lead. Andrew Luck was a beast. How about Mack today? The guy was a stud. 148 yards, a touchdown on 24 carries. He was lethal. This football team started out 1-5. In the back end, they went 9-1 to finish 10-6. Frank Reich has that team playing well. Their defense played strong. You have the Texans' best receiver held to 37 yards, 5 receptions on 10 targets with DeAndre Hopkins. They just said, oh, okay, throw it to someone else. We'll make other people beat us. Well, that wasn't really happening all night long as they scored 7 points. They tried to make a pushback. It was way too late. The lead was built so early on in this thing because of Andrew Luck, because of that run game, and they were just going downfield, putting the ball in the end zone. Andrew Luck's stat line was 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, and everyone's got to love that story. Everyone has to love that story. The comeback. Because he was talking about it. He was in a deep, dark place when the injury was happening and he wasn't playing for a season. It got ugly internally for Andrew Luck. He comes back, starts out 1-5, and then this happens. They win a playoff game in Houston. That place was silent. I thought the Flyers game was silent today when I was in the Wells Fargo Center. That place, you could literally hear a pin drop. The Colts go in there and stun them. And to be honest with you, I mean, Mack had a phenomenal game, but you look at their receiving core, and besides Hilton, they don't really have threats. But with the ability to run the ball, it opens up everything. And it's crazy that with the type of defense that the Texans have, they just got ran on. And you got to appreciate what the Colts are doing defensively. Just amazing. Just an amazing, gutsy performance. And now do you start looking at Bill O'Brien? Because he's bringing teams to the playoffs. His team's not terrible with records, but it's the same thing every year. They can't get over the hump. They can't finish the job. So, tough one for Deshaun Watson experiencing a playoff game. Comes up short. Doesn't get the job done at home. And now Houston's sitting back and watching the playoffs from here. Let's get into this second one. The second game of the night. And the score read 24-22 Dallas Cowboys. But to me, yeah, it was not even close to what the scoreboard said. The Cowboys dominated this game, and it started with their defense. You look at the Seattle Seahawks and offensively. 2 of 13 on third down. They couldn't get a run game going at all. You have multiple different defenders on the Cowboys coming up clutch. Whether it's being a spy on Russell Wilson, Jalen Smith, Van Der Esch. These guys were making plays out there. Their front four, DeMarcus Lawrence, they were being lethal. And offensively, you look at the Seahawks, and they just struggled. The defense for the Seahawks can only do so much. Zeke, monster performance, especially to the right side. Monster. Cooper had himself a nice day, and I will say I'm 0 for 2 because I said the Houston team wasn't the same and this might be the year they can finally do something. I was wrong. And then I looked at the Amari Cooper trade, and at the time, me and the rest of the NFL world seemed to think, wow, really, a first rounder? Like, he's a talent. But for a first rounder, well, he's definitely done very well in Dallas so far. It's as simple as that. It doesn't seem that stupid of a move when you look at it right now. Dak Prescott managed the game well. The one touchdown pass he threw was beautiful execution right before the half. And coming up clutch on 3rd and 15, he picked up around 17 yards or so, 18 yards. Now, I don't know how the hell that happened, just running the football right up the gut like that. But, hey, they got it, and he was a warrior today. And, you know, I like his story. I hate the Cowboys, but I like his story. Not that I ever want to see him actually succeed, but, you know, when I'm looking at this game, Dak Prescott was a warrior today. You had that gruesome injury early on in this football game. It was so ugly. Oh, it was so bad. I feel so bad. That was so ugly. I mean, his leg actually snapped. His ankle actually snapped, and his foot was completely turned around when he was laying on the field for some reason, and I know it shouldn't, but his name is drawing a blank on who actually had that injury, and I need to look up the name because it's bothering me. Allen Hurns, that's who it was. I was drawing a blank. Allen Hurns. I hope he gets over that injury. I really do. I hope he finds a way to mentally get over that gruesome injury and come back and really produce, because I never want to see anything like that happen to an athlete, no matter what colors they're wearing. That was so ugly and so hard to watch. So what do I take out of this game? Dallas is serious when it comes to that defense. I think being at home was a huge factor. I look at their future, and they don't know at this point who they're playing yet. At the time of this recording, the Eagles-Bears obviously didn't play yet. And will they play the Rams? Will they play the Saints? That's the real question. But I just don't know, without that home-type advantage, are they going to be able to go into a Saints building and do what they did at home against them? They have a better chance against the Rams, I would say, due to the fact that it's really a neutral sighting when you play the Rams in LA. But when you look at this performance, Zeke was a monster, especially early. It's like Dak Prescott wasn't literally on yet. He didn't have it yet. His flow, his mojo of the game, so they consistently was running Zeke. But once both of them got going, the offense moved the football, especially late on that late drive. Now, there were some pass interference caught on Seattle during that drive to keep it alive for the Cowboys. I thought the first one was a bad call. I thought the first one should not have been called. The second one where Cole Beasley and the DB ran into each other, yeah, that was definitely pass interference. But I don't think on the third and, I believe it was 3rd and 7, I don't think I would have thrown the flag in that situation. He deflected the ball and knocked it out. But what are you going to do? I'm not saying that was the reason why anything happened. I thought the Dallas Cowboys as a team outplayed the Seattle Seahawks. You also have the Seahawks not having a kicker. Their kicker goes down after trying to hit a 50-plus yarder right before the half. He pulls a hammy. Then he got the terrible onside kick with the drop kick that couldn't have been any easier. The Seahawks went out and they fought hard. It is weird that when they scored, right before they scored that touchdown late with about a minute plus left, how you allow a wide receiver to get that wide open is crazy, especially with how good the Dallas Cowboys defense is. For them to allow the Seahawks to even march downfield there and score so quickly, I was kind of stunned. It's like this Dallas D kind of broke down, and it could have got real ugly, but due to the fact they don't have a kicker and they couldn't find out how to do an onside kick, Dallas comes out of there with a win, and I thought they dominated that football game more than the scoreboard says at 24-22. But it was definitely a good couple games to warm us up into the playoffs here. The Colts with a dominating performance, winning 21-7 in Houston. And that defense is serious. It's not like that's a bad Houston Texans defense. The Colts went right through it with the head coach of Frank Reich stepping in there and really turning that season around after the first 6 games. And then same with the Cowboys. Similar story. They were dead in the water. Everyone said Jason Garrett stinks. They make this big trade. By the way, I do think Jason Garrett stinks anyway. They make that big trade for Amari Cooper. They turn things around, and they win a playoff game. And you know the playoff woes for them. They were dominant in the early part of the 1990s, the 2000s, and since then they really don't win much playoff games. And now under Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett, they're 2-2 in the playoffs. So we'll see how they do moving forward. I hope it's not well, but that's just coming from an Eagles fan. Let me know what you think down below on these 2 games. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.